Hi everyone once again, and welcome to our next session, which is hosted by our friends from S&P Global. And today we will continue with the topic of KYC RecordKeeper using blockchain and DAO for social projects. And let me introduce my colleagues who will be delivering the speech today. We've got Daval, who is a technical delivery lead, and Suganda, who is a managing director and digital technology services India at S&P Global, and Ashwin, who is a lead cloud engineer at S&P Global. Okay, guys, hi, how are you?
Doing
Yeah,
well. Can't wait to kick
doing
off this
great.
session. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so great to have you at our conference, and I think we are good to start. And could you please press this hide button? We see this message so that your screen is sharing or something like that. This technical rectangle.
Oh, I don't have a hide button here.
Ashwin, I guess Ashwin, it's on your screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yes. So please, I would like to remind the
Yeah, I
audience
did it.
if there will be any questions, just leave them in the live chats wherever you are watching this, and we will get back to them at the end of our today's session. Maybe the last 10 minutes will be dedicated for the Q&A part. Okay, then good luck, guys. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. We are very glad to be here presenting on some of the concepts that have been evolving with Web3 technologies. We'll be focusing on decentralized organizations, autonomous organizations, and KYC on blockchain. Now, with blockchain at its foundation, and I'm sure over the last 24 hours, the sessions that have been happening, you must have easily realized how Web 3.0 enables new applications and services based on the blockchain technologies in active use today. I keep looking for apologies, we seem to have a little bit of a glitch, but I'll keep my narration going. And when Ashwin is back, he will bring forward the slide, or Dhaval can do that. So as I was saying, right, a lot has evolved in this space. And we three, Ashwin, myself, and Dhaval, we started a journey, a personal journey on Web 3.0 about 18 months back. It was, learning using Solidity as the smart contract programming to, extending the concepts to the DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization, exploring what is the best way to optimize costing, looking at solutions to build using the stack. And we looked at peer-to-peer lending. We looked at appreciation application using blockchain platform. We also looked at how we can consider DAO for a social cost, right? Things that I keep looking for, and I'm sure you do that in day-to-day life, is which application or how can this technology serve the purpose? The closest I came to using this app was, I mean, use this technology in my daily life was with Drive. It's an application, a car service, a cab booking application. The startup is based in Bangalore. I don't have the latest, but that's something I was exploring last year. And then I was at an academic institution a couple of months back, and I saw startups providing solutions matching skills of people in blue collar jobs, and to folks who are looking for that. So the way the Web 3.0 platform has evolved and brought forward the structure and advantages, coming from saying it's a not scalable solution, there are some hacks in it, to being, considered, yes, it has come a long way, it is better. I think that's quite a journey. Ashwin will speak a lot about decentralized autonomous organization. The beauty of this is you can use it for project governance, and you can also use it to define an entity, and how, and by entity, I mean how you can set up a whole enterprise, right? Now, there are legal and financial frameworks that govern setting up entities, and hence DAOs do not have it fully defined all over the world, right? Some states in United States of America and some other geographies have actually provided the framework, and we see this evolving. But you can actually take the DAO concept for, project proposals, project prioritization, and take advantage of this. And that's what we will see, how we can actually use one of the platforms, an open source platform, to achieve a DAO outcome, right? And know your customer. If you actually know, we all as retail banking customers actually go ahead and fill up forms to get ourselves verified, validated. They take some time. And off late and very recently, I saw NFTs being awarded as, to users or to customers that they can actually use while completing a know your customer procedure, or the process. So you can also do a DAO around that. But what we will show you today is how you can build a vanilla know your customer validation for a group of entities or financial institutions on blockchain. Okay. So with this backdrop, what I'll do is I will hand over to Ashwin. We are hoping that you will have your key takeaways as mentioned here, and look forward to your questions. Thank you. Over to you, Ashwin.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good morning. I'm Ashwin from S&P Global. Today my network is a bit patchy, unfortunately. So if there is any discrepancies in my network, I'm really sorry about it. I'm not sure what's happening just now. So coming to the point, today I'm going to give a session on DAOs. So DAO actually is short for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. I mean, most of them in the crypto world might know what exactly a DAO is. So I just gave a small brief on it. So DAO actually, as a concept, is all about bringing transparency and giving ownership to the people of that particular organization. So as I've said, it's an organization where all the organization decision making, like what exactly the new projects that the organization should have to pick, and how exactly they can prioritize their projects, everything can be done with the help of organization proposals, and people can vote on it and decide what exactly the organization should do. And how exactly we can implement, we have three key ingredients. With that help, we can, with the help of these three key ingredients, we can implement DAO. So first one is decentralized governance, collective ownership, and autonomous execution. So decentralized governance here, in the sense, is like if government has certain rules, compliances, or norms that we have to implement as an organization according to the industry we are working on, then we have to set certain governance rules. And coming to collective ownership and control, it is all about tokens. In whole DAO structure, if you want to be part of the DAO, you need certain amount of tokens. Only then you can be part of that organization decision making. So, and next one is autonomous execution. So autonomous execution is all about smart contracts. So like if you have to implement these governance rules, you have to write it in smart contracts. Similarly, if you need tokens for the ownership in the organization, you need those tokens in smart contracts. And we call it as autonomous execution here because if a smart contract has been fully built and has been deployed, then we don't have to be worried about running the organization. The smart contract will take care of executing it. And coming to the DAO journey, the the term DAO was first coined in 1990 to describe the multi-agent system of Internet of Things. but it was not that popular even after it came into the picture. It got popular only in 2014 when the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, he wrote a blog on how exactly we can write DAOs and how we can implement it. From then, people have started exploring it, but May 2016, the first DAO was born in Ethereum community, which is called the DAO, and that is a bigger breakthrough in the whole cryptocurrency world because this has brought in an organization into a virtual entity, and that is not available previously. So this has been a breakthrough, but unfortunately this DAO has been hacked because of few vulnerabilities in smart contracts, and there are few millions which have been hacked by the hackers. But that didn't stop the people from exploring DAOs. In fact, it made DAOs more secure and less vulnerable. And by 2019, actually, the companies like Compound, Malach, they have started their organizations as DAOs. And that really opened gates to a lot of people on exploring DAOs because organizations which are already established have been onboarded with DAOs. And currently in 2023, DAOs got very famous. That initially DAOs used to be established in financial institutions, but now it has been explored into a lot of industries and a lot of segments, and we can explore DAOs into multiple ideas. And we are going to show what kind of DAOs we can create in the future slides. And coming to the architecture, right? So basically, these blockchains have been developed on the DeFi concept. So we have a lot of blockchains in place, and we can implement this DAO in most of the blockchains that are available in the market, be it Ethereum, Polygon, or Solana. According to our comfort, with whatever we are more familiar and using, we can pick those blockchains and we can implement it. And coming to the architecture, right? So as I mentioned, we can develop a blockchain in any of the technology, any of the blockchains. So I'm taking Ethereum as the base, and I'm going to build my DAO on this particular technology. So DAOs, as I mentioned, everything is smart contracts in DAOs. So if you want to write a token, you have to create a smart contract. If you want to set up your governance tools, you have to set up smart contract, and accordingly, if you have any other additional changes, you can create your smart contracts. So now you have the smart contracts, your DAO is ready, but you need more people. So for getting the people, you need tokens. So token, again, it's a smart contract. So once you have enough tokens, you can assign the tokens to the members of that organization. And if the member has enough tokens, he can be part of this DAO, and he can be able to be part of organization decision making. And how exactly can be part of organization decision making? With the help of proposals and votings. So if you are a member of organization, you can have the right to create proposals on what kind of project this DAO should execute, and other people of that particular organization, they all can vote on the proposals and decide whether this organization really need this project or not. So this brings on more transparency and control to all the members of this organization. So you can see, right, people are making decisions here, so it's kind of a democracy, yes. And if this is democracy, then I want to press a bit more on governance rules. So because governance rules, I usually call it as constitution, because if you consider any democracy, if the constitution is strong, then the democracy is going to be effective. If the constitution has its own loopholes, accordingly this democracy is going to be affected. So you have to be very particular on how exactly you're setting these governance rules for the DAO you're going to be creating. So like, just as an example, I want to set up, like, if I want to be a bad actor, how exactly I can exploit it, and how exactly you can protect this DAO when you're going to implement it. So here I'm going to be a bad actor, and I'm part of a DAO which has around 100 members, and it has some $1 million with that particular DAO. So what I will do is I'll create a proposal with an active time of 15 minutes, and proposal is validate for 100K. So I want a project which costs 5K at max, but I'm going to quote it for 100K. And I will ask 5 to 10 people who are loyal to me to vote on that particular proposal. And as the proposal time is only 15 minutes, I'll ask my 10 members to vote on it, and I'll get that 100K at the end of the proposal time. So now I've exploited this whole DAO and I got the money. So how we can avoid it? We have to be very particular on how exactly we are setting the quorum and how exactly we are setting the minimum proposal time. So quorum here in the sense, if there are 100 members in the organization, you have to make sure minimum 50% of people should vote on that proposal. Only then this proposal should pass. If not, you have to stop this. You have to reject this particular idea. Similarly, the proposal time, if you have to set it up minimum 3 to 5 days, only then people who are like people who are not active, they can come in and see, okay, something mischief is happening in this particular proposal, and they have to reject it. So in this way, you can protect your DAO. So last time the DAO which has hacked, there are similar kind of vulnerabilities which have been exploited full-fledged. And coming to the platforms, there are a lot of platforms that can implement this whole solution. And the whole structure you're seeing, right, this is all a smart contract, so everything is a backend application. So to communicate with this, you need a front-end user interface or a user application. Only then you can update, or you can do all the process of creating proposals and track whatever happened. And for that, you need a technology called Web 3.0. In traditional setup, we have something called as Web 2.0, but we have to utilize Web 3 because for cryptocurrencies or the smart contracts, we are using additional technologies in here. And we can utilize IPSF, and we can contact with our smart contracts to get all the details. So this is how a smart contract or a DAO works. And we can implement everything from scratch by ourselves, or we can use a readily available platforms. So we have platforms which are providing DAO as a solution, like Aragon, Alchemy, Tally. We can utilize those solutions to develop our applications. And all these applications are on-chain transactions. So on-chain transactions here in the sense, like if you want to execute any of the transaction, you have to spend certain amount of gas fee to complete those transactions. Let's say if you want to send certain amount of cryptocurrency from person A to person B, let's say I'm sending 100 ethers. So how exactly I can do that particular transaction? I have to spend certain amount of gas fee to execute this transaction. And after spending that gas fee on the transaction, only then that particular transaction will be registered on the blockchain that person A has sent 100 ethers to person B. So this is all a traditional on-chain system works. So if you want to integrate that with DAO, let's say if someone wants to create a project, for that they have to create a proposal. And for that proposal, you have to initiate a transaction to complete that proposal. And that proposal is going to be registered on the blockchain only after you pay the gas fees. Similarly, if someone wants to vote on that proposal, again, they have to spend enough gas fee to execute that particular transaction, and then the transaction will be updated. So you can see, right, there is additional gas fees that you have to keep in mind when you are implementing a DAO. So what the solution we are looking for? We are looking at most cost effective, and when we are exploring the solutions, we came up to Snapshot. We are not watching for Snapshot, but for the idea which we are looking at, we felt Snapshot make more sense. And how exactly Snapshot is going to provide this gaseous transaction is, it's going to utilize something called as IPSF. IPSF is short for Interplanetary File System, and it is all about it saves like it is a P2P transactions where all the data will be saved in multiple locations, like how all our blocks are getting executed. So similar to this, it's going to update all our voting strategies and protocols, everything in this IPSF network. In this way, it's going to save us a lot of money, and we don't have to spend any gas fees because everything is happening on chain, but all the transactions are getting executed on off chain. So that is one advantage we are picking up Snapshot. And coming to the infrastructure, right? So this is the same architecture diagram which I presented. And in this architecture diagram, everything is similar. Only thing is we are using Snapshot as a platform. And one more big advantage which we could see on Snapshot is it has multiple voting systems, which is drawback in other platforms which we have explored initially. And it was like single choice voting or weighted voting or ranked choice voting. So single choice is like if you create a project, it's like simple yes and no on that project, like whether you need that project or no. And coming to weighted voting, so weighted voting is something like if you have a single vote, you can distribute that vote into multiple options. Let's say you have option A and option B and options G. You can give your weightage for option A as 0.5% of votage. And if you are not that much interested with option C or option B, you can give it as 0.1%. And accordingly, you can segregate your voting strategies. So similar to the ranked choice voting, where you can rank which idea you are more preferred into. So as like these are the voting, there are a lot more voting strategies that are available in Snapshot, but these are the three we are going to concentrate for today. And let me quickly jump into a demo. So this is a snapshot demo version which we have created in off off chain. I mean, not off chain, but in a testnet kind of scenario. So this is a propose. These are the kind of proposals we have created till now. So let's say if you want to be part of this DAO, you can come in here. You can see what kind of proposals have been created or what kind of projects have been executed by this DAO. and it brings in more transparency. And these proposals can't be deleted. Let's say if some mischief has happened, you can see it in transparency. So that really helps on tracking whatever projects have been executed, and you can, if you want to be part of it, you can join these proposals. So let me show a sample projects that we have created till now. This is a simple, like, when we are trying to set up a governance rules for this particular DAO. So you can give the title name on what exactly you're looking at. You can give all the information what this project is going to do, and you can give the options. So for DAOs, I want to create the DAO, I want to set up the tokens, and I want to set up the governance rules for these tokens. So I'm giving all the details, and I'm checking with my people whether they were okay with it or not. So people can vote accordingly. You can see two votes have been voted on here, and along with that, you can see a lot more information. So here you can see IPSF. So this is where all our data is going to be saved on this foundation DAOs. And voting system, you can get the type of voting systems here, and start and end date, and the snapshot. It's a block ID of the particular Ethereum block as of now, so that we can track and see whether it was genuinely created at that particular time or not. Similarly, we have something called as weighted voting. So you can see how exactly voted has been segregated in the results. And similarly, we have something called as ranked voting, where you can rank according to your options. As of now, there is only two users here, so these are the two votes which we got according to the ranking priorities. So now let me create a sample proposal on how we can implement this now. So I can come into new proposals, and after this, in the new proposal, I've just pre-filled just before the demo. So you can give the title, you can give all the description on what you want to do, and let's say if you want to have a discussion on this, like if people have some queries how they can execute it, they can fill the discussion forum, and they can once you're fine with the description, you can select the voting strategy. So I'm going to select my voting strategy here, and I'm selecting weighted voting as my options. And you can see there are multiple choices available here. Accordingly, you can pick your choice, whatever you looked at, and you can implement it. And voting period, as I mentioned, you have to be very particular about this voting period. So you can set it up minimum of 3 days or according to the requirement you're looking at. And once that is done, you can click on publish. So after publishing, right, it will usually redirect you to a MetaMask wallet. Um, I'm sorry why not sure why it took, yeah. So it will take to the MetaMask wallet. So in this MetaMask wallet, we are not going to pay any gas fees. All we are going to do is it's going to collect our cryptographic signature, account ID, and everything. And once all the details have been collected, it's going to store that in the IPSF network just to make sure like everything has been authenticated full-fledgedly. I'm not sure what's the issue, but MetaMask is taking a lot of time just to show the transaction page. So I'll just quickly get back to my slides to give more information on this. And coming to the type of DAOs, as I mentioned initially, right, there are a lot of projects where we can create these DAOs. So kind of protocol DAOs, grand DAOs, and the investment DAOs. These are really popular ones. And philanthropy DAO, like Ukraine DAO, is one which is very popular when the Russia war has happened, where people have donated very generously on cryptocurrencies on this Ukraine DAO. And similarly, we have a lot of platforms who are utilizing DAO as a solution. And coming to the today's session, right, we want to implement this DAO for something called as KYC DAO. KYC is short for Know Your Customer DAO. So how exactly we can implement this KYC for institutional financial institutions, and how exactly we can connect this DAO to that financial institution KYC? My colleague Dawal is going to explain it. Dawal, over to you.
Thank you, Ashwin. If somebody can confirm my screen is visible. All right. So yeah, thank you, Ashwin, for explaining DAOs. Now, before we discuss on how a DAO can be implemented for financial institution, let's just understand what is KYC, right? So KYC, as you know your customer, is an integral part of any anti-money laundering norms globally. KYC is a part of legal framework established by various jurisdictions around the world. All financial institutions are required to perform KYC verifications periodically, and McKinsey research shows that typically banks employ around 10% of its staff for financial crime detection. As you can see here, the cost of KYC and anti-money laundering lapses are huge. Currently in India, there is no common platform across different type of financial institutions to share the KYC verification result or to show the cost of KYC process. So if you think of a bank or mutual fund house or an insurance company, they all do the KYC check for an individual periodically. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever faced a situation where you were asked to wait for a week before you can avail some banking services? I guess the answer is yes, right? That's because of the pending KYC check. This is because the customer data collection and analysis of KYC data are the key challenges with KYC data. It's time consuming, costly, and requires following global regulations. And as a result, it delays new customer onboarding and extending new products and services to existing customer. So what is the solution, you may ask? Presenting S&P KYC RecordKeeper D app. It's a decentralized app uh, based on blockchain solution for sharing KYC records and cost of KYC checks between financial institutions. The DApp stores encrypted customer documents on IPFS, which is Interplanetary File System. The smart contract keeps track of financial entities which uses this document and shares the cost equally between them. By providing by providing an immutable record keeping solution and building trust, the DApp's vision is to enhance the operational efficiency by leveraging blockchain and smart contract technology. Now let's understand how the DApp really works. The left side of the diagram explains process for creating a new KYC record. The right side of the diagram explains process for reusing the KYC record. On a high level, there are three layers: external, application, and blockchain layer. External layer is where the customer interaction, actual document verification, and due diligence process happens, which is outside the scope of this application. And that's taken care by the financial entities. Application layer is where the registered entities like banks, insurance companies, etc., they access this DApp through a browser. They can do a customer lookup and do a KYC check history. They can also create a new KYC record by uploading the verified documents. These documents are encrypted with AES-256 algorithm and stored on IPFS, which is identified by a unique document hash. So if something changes in the document, the doc hash changes too, right? This unique doc hash is then stored to the along with the KYC record to the blockchain, right? So the next time, if the other entity decides to reuse this KYC record instead of manually re-verifying everything, they can just pay the proportional KYC fee and utilize this KYC record. This application also supports regulator persona. So the regulators can do an audit on any customer or KYC record. Now the aim of this application is to work along with existing banking software. So not much of the customer details or any other information is stored on this application. I know it's a loaded slide, but I think it will get clear once we look at the demo. The key point here to note is that the financial entities have a way to reuse the KYC check that was done by the previous financial institution, and we'll see it shortly in our demo. Now, say these entities have created a DAO, right? So that enables them to manage additional of or removal of any financial institution from them from the consortium. DAO will also help them to kind of manage how much KYC fee that should be charged if somebody is reusing it, right? If there is any commercial model that needs to be enhanced, DAO, I mean, through a proposal, DAO can decide on that. So that's how they can utilize DAO here. As you can see here, there are a couple of names like HSBC and CT, insurance company, Aviva, a mutual fund house, BlackRock, and regulator. These are Indian regulators, SEBI and RBI. As we are using names of some of the well-known players from financial world, it's important for me to give this disclaimer. So all the entity names used here are for illustration purpose only. They do not represent the actual organizations, and these organizations do not use this prototype app. All right. So in the demo, we will search for two customers, John and Tina, and we'll check for their customer history, and we'll see how the record can be shared between two entities, HSBC and Citi. So let me switch to the demo. So this is the demo app. Just a minute. Yeah. So this is the demo app, and I have currently logged in as HSBC office. Smart contract also recognizes that. Say HSBC wants to search for customer John. This is now doing the customer lookup, and we see an entry for John. And when it clicks on KYC check, we see a record created for John, and we see here a button for download. If I click on it, it will download all the documents that were supplied as part of this KYC check. And let me open that for you. So here there was this document that was attached, right? John visits another entity, which is Citibank. Let me try to log in as Citibank. Yeah, I think Ashwin also was facing this earlier. MetaMask seems to be a little slow. But yeah, I just tried switching it to Citi. I have some dummy usernames created for the demo purpose. So I'm just login as Citibank and trying to search as John. Right, I get the same record here. Click on the KYC records. Now, instead of the download button, I see a lock button. Right, that's because this was created by HSBC, and currently we are logged in as Citi. So, in order for Citi to use this record, they can click on this, which will open up the MetaMask, asking to pay for the KYC fee, which is zero point 0.1 Ether, right? That's the configured value here. Uh, when Citi pays that, behind the scene, what's going to happen is the smart contract will identify whether this fee needs to be shared between two entities, which is like HSBC and Citi, or if it is like a third or fourth entity who's reusing it, it will do that calculation accordingly and refund the money, right? So yeah, the transaction is complete on MetaMask, and now instead of the download button, you see instead of the lock button, you see a download button here, right? And if I just try to check that on Etherscan, um, I think it's yet to be loaded. I'll come back to this later. But yeah, uh, now let me try to search for another customer here, which is Tina. And yeah, we see a record for Tina here. There is no record for KYC for Tina. Let me create it. So say for example, Citi has done the manual verification for Tina's KYC documents, and after that due diligence, they are uploading this document uh, on this DApp, right? So yeah, say for example, uh, the uh, the banker at Citi is uploading few documents, so there is no restriction on the type of files can upload, like JPG, text, PDF, whatever, right? uh, yeah, and then once it does save, so here first is uploading files, which is on IPFS, and then the second thing is uploading the record, which is on the smart contract, the MetaMask pop-up. And yeah, MetaMask is slow. um, so here, if you notice, Citi is not paying anything, right? That's because it's designed that way. So now you will see a box here once it is completed. And in the meanwhile, let me see if the previous transaction has appeared here. So yeah, the previous transaction is here. And what I wanted to show here is, remember, Citi had given zero point 0.1 Ether, but then the smart contract does that equal split, and it returns zero point 0.5 to HSBC and it returns zero point 0.5 to Citi, right? So that's how it is managed. And yeah, as you see here, the record is now available, and anybody who is part of this application can search for this record and similarly start using it. Um, I mean, if a regulator joins it, they will not have the lock button, because regulator needs to have a provision to audit on any customer without any fees, right? Quickly, just wanted to show the contract owner persona. So the contract owner will not have any option to search for a KYC record. Instead, the contract owner will have an option to either register a new entity like a bank or mutual fund houses, or register a new user for this application, right? Let me go back to the slides. So I'm sure after looking at the demo, live demo, right? Uh, you want to understand how the costing really works, right? So we had considered two models here, pay as you go and prepaid model. Uh, in the pay as you go model, the entities pays for each transaction fetch that they do, right? The table here, it explains the calculation. For simplicity, I have given or taken 10, but in our app we saw it was zero point 0.1, right? So since the financial institution which has performed KYC check has already spent manpower on the manual verification, they do not need to pay anything to store this KYC record on the D app, and thus they get encouraged to create records, and they start sharing their cost once the next entity starts using it, right? So in our example, when HSBC created this record, they didn't pay anything. When CT created the record, they paid 10 or zero point 0.1 ether, but then they got the 50% as refund, right? So if this same record for John is, say for example, used by another financial institution, the cost will be shared like 33.3% equally between all three of them. Similarly, with the addition of next entity, it will be 25%, and with the next, it will be 20%, and so on, right? So since the cost is always shared equally, uh, that's how everybody would like to share their cost and use this DApp. And each entity has to pay only once to kind of yeah. All right, yeah. So each entity has to pay only once to fetch a record. Quickly talking about the second model, which is prepaid, the only difference is that instead of paying per transaction, the entities here will deposit a lump sum amount, right? And that's how they will save on gas fees. But all the other calculations would be same as pay as you go. And we have used model one for our demo, as we saw. Talking about the tech stack, so we have used Redux and React using Node.js, W3.js. The client is created. The customer lookup is on MongoDB Cloud. The documents are stored on IPFS. The smart contract is created on Solidity, using Solidity and on Goerli ETH. And the client browser is interacting with the blockchain using MetaMask. Um, as this was just for showing the possibility, it's not a full-fledged application, and there are few enhancements. And key point here is like using similar architecture, few other business cases can also be implemented. So yeah, I'll just leave it here for you to read, and probably we can open up for any questions that we have at the moment. Thank you. Yeah, I think we are open for
Okay,
questions.
guys. Yeah, thank you so much for such a great presentation. I mean, the thing I really liked is that that was quite technical, but even for me, for a non-technical guy, that was very detailed and very. So I understand everything, almost everything, I would say, and thank you so much. Very liked your approach of delivering such kind of information, and. We've got a couple of minutes left before the next session, and I would like to have some kind of discussion with you. Uh, so, wh- I would like to know your opinion about DAOs, and kind of philosophical question. Do you think it's so DAOs are something that are we waiting for something to be reshaped, or are we waiting for something very new, in your opinion?
Yeah, philosophical is a very interesting way to put DAO, because DAO does extend its purpose, for various causes, social or philanthropic and all of that, right? But if you look at DAO, I think like what Ashwin mentioned, I think the whole idea of the democratic approach and also avoiding influenced or biased proposal sharing or proposal prioritization. I think that's the beauty that the DAO framework allows. And because all these rules are delivered through smart contracts, they inherit the immutable nature, and they provide you, something which cannot be tampered with. Ashwin, do you want to add anything more?
Yeah, I mean, like DAO is still a gray area, and few countries were still not ready to accept it. Most of them were still getting ready to frame their rules and compliances according to the current norms what they have in the financial institutions. They want to sync up DAO along with that. So it might take some more time to fully accept by the governments as well. But as of now, there are a lot of organizations for implementing DAO full-fledgedly as an organization. Like organizations like Compound, they are fully on DAO. Whatever the decision making they were making on, like what kind of new ideas they can implement in DAOs, as an organization, they were really doing a great job in it. And in future, we are expecting that a lot more ideas, a lot more industries are going to onboard into DAO. Most of them are just waiting for the government confirmation or government frameworks on how exactly they can implement it without getting grey listed or blacklisted by governments and financial institutions.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting opinion, and I think our audience also totally agrees with it. And let us know if you have some other opinions about it. And guys, what do you think? Which spheres I would say would be the first in adoption of DAOs?
I didn't get your question. Sorry, which?
Which spheres of entities, which spheres of businesses, or maybe any other types of communities would be the first and the quickest to adopt DAOs?
Yeah, so I think there are what over about 5,000 plus DAO. I don't want to say entities, but I want to say DAO registrations out there, and over 6 million users at this time, right? And if you really look at their distribution, you will find them, like I mentioned, across social causes. Ashwin mentioned about project or platform decisions. A lot of the virtual machines, blockchain based, right? They're all decided using some of the contracts in DAO. You have started also looking at environmental projects coming in, causes for people to help, right? We learned about some of the recent geographical requirements based on the issues that the countries have faced. And in some countries, they're using DAOs to retain or preserve their culture and language, and they're requesting the communities to contribute to that. So 5,000 plus, and Dhaval spoke about know your customer. That itself is evolving into a big DAO, and Dhaval spoke about the financial institution aspect. If you look at the user aspect, you're seeing users carrying NFTs. Dhaval, anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered it all. But yeah, if I have to, I mean, I guess non-profits would be the first one to adopt it, and followed by financial institutions, I think.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a very interesting process. At least it's very interesting to see, to be a spectator, at least how this kind of dynamic process goes. And thank you so much, guys, once again for your presentation. I really enjoyed your talk. I really enjoyed your approach, I would say. And I would like to now announce the next session, which will be in a couple of minutes with Artur Karapetyan, who is a CEO and co-founder of Text and Payme, and we are going to continue our talk on cryptocurrency adoption. And you guys, thank you so much once again. And yeah, we will be back in a couple of minutes. Cheers, guys. Stay tuned.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks, Alec, for hosting us.
Thank you.